Thank you, everybody, for joining. My name's John Belay. I'm the CEO of Graze. There's a picture of our mower there. We're building an electric autonomous commercial lawnmower. I've got over 30 years of experience in the landscape industry. I was CEO of a large landscape company in the San Francisco Bay Area, so I got a lot of experience with what we're doing in the industry we're in. It's a $100 billion lawn and landscaping industry. It's very large, but it's also very fragmented. Out of the 100 billion, there's one company that's over 2 billion. The top 100 work out to about 11% of the overall market. So it's a large market, fairly fragmented. But the way I look at it, anybody that's got a 60-inch mower can use our 60-inch Graze mower. We've broken it into, more or less 4 categories. Landscape maintenance companies. These are the large companies that have large lawns to maintain. They have large geographic coverage all across the United States. The other one is municipalities, city parks, roadways, highways. They often have complex, dangerous areas with slopes. We've reached out to quite a number of cities, counties, even states. They're all very excited for what we're doing. Also, golf courses. We are currently doing a pilot program with a golf course and have just recently looked to start another one within a half hour of our new offices in Los Angeles. What's interesting about the golf courses is that they're very particular about their lawns. They often, mow them 2 to 3 times a week during the growing season. And they've got an average cost of $850,000 per year to maintain the golf course. And a large part of that is labor related. Also, we've been talking with cemeteries, solar fields, airports, basically any place that have large lawn areas that need to be mowed on a regular basis. So what really makes us different from all the other lawnmowers out there is we're autonomous. So a normal landscape crew might have 4 landscapers going out to a job site. 2 of them might be on mowers, the other 2 on edgers, blowers, doing irrigation, all the other routine tasks. But with the Graze mowers, we look to be able to reduce that labor cost by 50%. And that, together with being electric, there's probably a 75% fuel cost savings. So with those 2 combined, it's a big profitable aspect for the landscape companies and could move the margins from 10% up to 40%. One of our early partners, Mainscape, they're one of the largest top 15 landscape companies in the United States. They've pre-ordered 200 mowers from us, and they've shared a lot of their data as far as their lawn mowing costs. So for lawn mowing, they figure 40% of that revenue is labor cost. They expect that to go down to about 23%. The fuel cost at 16%. That's in 2020. We all know gas prices have gone up by probably at least 50% since a year ago. So that's going to be even higher. They're looking at that down to 4% with electric. The number of injuries they had back in 2020, 25. Well, robots don't get hurt. They don't get sick. So that number can go to 0. And they also had over $100,000 of payouts to injured workers. So they're looking at their profit from lawn mowing going from 6% upwards of 43%, which translates out to a 4 to 6 times EBITDA bump per year. So just want to introduce Graze and what we're doing. Like I said, we're building an electric, fully autonomous mower for the commercial landscaping companies. You can see we've got a mow deck out front that's 60-inch. The reason for that, it's large enough to mow large areas. Once we get up to the 7 miles per hour, that'll do over 3 acres per hour. But it's also small enough to fit within a traditional landscape trailer that you often see being pulled along the roadway behind a pickup truck. So, one of our main components, it's electric. It's very quiet, low maintenance. Whenever I'm talking to people that own an electric vehicle, they're like, yeah, my car's never in the shop. It doesn't take any maintenance. So the other thing about being electric is, I don't know if you've heard this, but back in October, Governor Newsom of California declared a law that starting January 1st, 2024, you can no longer sell gas-powered mowers, blowers, or edgers in California. So already there's a big push towards going towards electric equipment, and we're ahead of the curve, having started with our developing of our electric autonomous mower. Also, it's 24/7 operable. It's able to mow at night. It will have lights, and so long as it's charged and running, it can go. It's also very quiet. When it's moving from one place to another, it's virtually silent. When you turn on the blades, you can hear a kind of whirring sound, almost like a vacuum cleaner, but it's not that deep, throaty sound that you hear from a gas-powered mower. We're obviously, first and foremost, going to have advanced safety protocols. We're not going to release this out to the public until we've got it fully vetted, tested, and safe and certified. It's going to be consistent and precise. It will be able to go back and forth in parallel lines like you're used to seeing. Some of the other robotic mowers that are out there, they act kind of like a Roomba for the lawn, where they go in random patterns and they're very slow. They might be able to do 1 acre per day. So we're going to be very consistent. Also, like I said, environmentally friendly. Because it being electric, there's no emissions. A traditional gas-powered mower will release as much emissions in an hour as 40 vehicles. So we're checking all the boxes: electric, environmental, quiet, consistent, etc. So this is just some of the capabilities of our mower. You can notice, the wheels, they don't look like a normal wheel. They're called tweels. They are run flat tires. They don't take any air. Again, what we're looking to do is eliminate or reduce as much as possible how much a gardener or a foreman has to deal with these. With my old landscape company, we had to have a regular routine at least once a week, checking the pressure in the tires, pumping it up, making sure that they're at the optimal pressure. With run flat tires, you don't have to do that. The other thing is we pushed our mow deck out in front. Some mowers have it, underneath the chassis. We specifically put it out in front because it makes it very easy to lift the mow deck, to change out the blades, to sharpen the blades. That is one thing that we do have to do on a regular basis, as you do on any other mower. The other nice thing about that is it's a removable cutting deck. So right now we're focused on rotary blades, which are those traditional blades you're seeing there, but there's a lot of other attachments we'll be able to put on. So for instance, Bermuda grass or fairways on golf courses, they use a reel mower, and that's able to cut it down to 1/2 inch to 1 inch. We'll be able to do that. Also, going into the golf course market, we're currently, like I said, we're doing a pilot at a golf course, and we're mowing their driving range. So we'll be able to have another attachment that I call the golf ball picker-upper, which will be able to gather all the golf balls that are on the driving range. So they'll be able to utilize a Graze mower to mow the turf, and during the day, able to gather all the golf balls. You can see we've also got odometry sensors, a central processing unit. It's not just a lawnmower that's smart. It's basically a computer that can mow lawns. So there's a lot of applications having an on-site computer at all times. Again, a big part of what we're doing is the safety. We've got our Graze vision. So if it detects an object coming into its field of view, like this dog running in front of it, it will not only stop the mower from moving forward, it will also shut off the blades until that object goes away, and then it will resume mowing. Now, let's say it's mowing a park, and overnight there's a big windstorm and a branch falls into an area that is normally being mowed. It will come up to that branch, it'll stop, and obviously the branch isn't going to get out of the way. So what it'll do is it will send a ping back to the operator, to the foreman, saying there's an obstacle here. It'll give the location, but then it'll go ahead and mow around that branch to continue mowing where it can. That way, you're not going to be, stopped from mowing just because there's an obstacle in the way. And then at a later time, the crew can come back, remove the branch, mow the area that wasn't mowed, and continue on to their day's activities. Again, by having a computer on board, we've got a fleet command center. Many companies have GPS in all their trucks where they can see where they're located, how fast are they going. The same thing will be able to be done with this. It will also be able to show you if you're at a particular park, what percentage of the park has been mowed. Are you 70% done, 80% done? You can send it to send a ping to you when you're 90% done, to give you enough time to come back if you need to come pick up the mower to take it to the next job. It'll also help with scheduling, demand forecasting, data capture. Ultimately, we will be able to determine the height of the grass before you mow it, after you mow it, and you'll be able to graph the growing pattern, the growth cycle of the lawn, such that maybe you don't need to mow it once a week like is conventionally done. You might only need it going every 9 days, or every 5 days during the growing season. So there's a lot of things, a lot of data that can help you with the mowing and to keep your customers satisfied, to cut it when it reaches a certain height, rather than the traditional, we'll be there every Tuesday. We also have a user interface that can go to a laptop, a tablet, your iPhone, that will be able to show you the area it's mowed, how many hours remaining of battery, what the cut height is, and the speed that it's traveling. So this is our current version. It's version 3. This is what we have going out to pilots right now, and this is what our kind of final testing is before we go to contract manufacturing. What you can see that's different on this one, the kind of chimney stack on the center top, that's the LiDAR. That's what we use for obstacle detection, avoidance. We also utilize GPS for localization, such that when you map out the perimeter, the exterior perimeter, you can map it by remote controlling it around the perimeter, and it will remember that every time you go to that site. Or you can also, using say a Google map, you can use your finger to outline the perimeter of where you want to mow. We also have, you can probably see on there, some cameras at the 4 corners. We have ultrasonic sensors, all for providing us safety and precision. So this is a great slide. I love it. This shows you what the LiDAR sees. It 360-degree view, anything that comes into its range, it will notice. You can see kind of in the lower left-hand side, there's a person standing there. You can see their feet, their calves, and then it gets a little bit dotted out at their thighs. Also upper left, you can also see a person walking towards it. And we put a number of soda cans around the perimeter and behind it, and you can see those showing up quite clearly. So this is what the computer sees. This is when it comes to an obstacle, is when it will stop. We are, moving beyond just mowing. There's also solar panels. We've gone to a number of these. That is also a very large cost for solar farms to mow the grasses and the weeds beneath it. So we're looking at that as a potential customer as well. I want to talk a little bit about our first customers. Like I said, Mainscape, they've pre-ordered 200 mowers. Sundale Country Club, this is a golf course where we're doing a pilot program. And we've got international attention. It's amazing just, being involved with LinkedIn and with the previous crowdfunding campaigns we've done. We've got a lot of interest from all over the world. We've pre-sold 50 mowers to Skyline Landscape out of Sydney, Australia. Also next week, PSD Grounds Care, they're coming to see a demo of our mowers. They're coming over from the UK, and then we're going to go on to a golf course convention down in San Diego. So all told, we've got over 350 pre-orders. That represents over $32 million in revenue. And the nice thing is 2/3 of that is recurring revenue. That's the SaaS, the software as a service. And so kind of like the Peloton model, where you buy the Peloton for $3,000 and $50 a month for the service. We've got a similar model where we'll be able to sell the mower and $1,000 a month for the service. That allows us, as we continue to upgrade the software and bring on new features, we'll be able to download it automatically. So a little bit about a fundraising. We've already raised $9.2 million to date through June 30th. We've extended our Series A round now on Wax Invest, where we're looking to raise another $5 million in this quarter. A little bit about our leadership team. I've already told you about myself, over 30 years of experience in the landscape world. Martin Bueller, he's head of our engineering. If a robot took human form, it would be Martin Bueller. You can take a look at some of the projects he's been on at Boston Dynamics. He was involved in the robotic dog project. He's been at Disney Imagineering, and incredible PhD engineering from Yale, and also worked at MIT in their AI lab. Josh Weinberg, I'm working closely with him, business strategy and operations. He comes at it from more the tech side and the AI side. And, me with my experience in landscaping, we also often have, really good discussions because we're coming at it from, two very different ways that we're able to, play off of each other and really do what's best for our customers and the customer experience with our robotic mowers. Let me tell you about Wavemaker. They're the venture capital firm that put in the original seed money to get us started before our crowdfunding. They've got over $500 million assets under management out of Los Angeles and Singapore. So they've got incredible expertise in business development. And they've also got Wavemaker Labs, which is an incubator for robotic companies. And you can see down at the bottom there, they've got a couple of others, Miso Robotics, which is a robotic burger flipper that's doing tremendously. Also Paistro, Bobacino, a lot of different robotic companies, all under the same roof in Los Angeles. And what's great about that is we've been able to utilize engineers from Wavemaker Labs and use them as we need them, which really reduces the burn rate rather than having to hire full-time people that you've got on board, whether you need them or not. We can kind of pick and pull between mechanical engineers, software engineers, battery experts. And most recently, we're utilizing their person that's in charge of contract manufacturing. So he's been a godsend to us as we're going from pilots to paid pilots to commercialization, and as we're ramping up to go to scale with contract manufacturing. As far as our milestones, we set some of these that in December of 2020, we did our first field test, our first demos, which were very successful. We actually deployed mowers last summer and fall, pilots at Sundale Country Club, also in Central California, where we're mowing parks, community centers, soccer fields. So we're getting a lot of data for our engineers to analyze and see what goes wrong. What do we need to fix? How do we make it, in my terms, bulletproof before we release it to the public? Also, our product release, we're going to be doing a rollout this year as we take our pilot programs to paid pilot programs, looking at producing more mowers as we make progress on the engineering side. We only want to release enough that we know that we can service most likely locally in the Los Angeles area until we're comfortable and have the certifications to start to release to the rest of the country and the rest of the world. So just quick summary, over $32 million in pre-orders, 2/3 of which is recurring. We've got a proven team in landscaping and robotics expertise. We've got a very robust prototype that we've been utilizing for the past several months. We've got the Wavemaker advantage between both the venture capital firm and the robotic incubator. And we've raised over $9.2 million, and hopefully with your support, we can get that up over $14 million. So with that, I think I'll turn it back over to Justin, and we'll do the Q&A. Thank you all.
Thanks so much, John. For the folks that are that may have missed the intro there at the beginning, feel free to throw your questions here in the question box in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen there. John, I want to get started with a couple of questions about the product. One is in terms of how deep of grass can the mower cut? Is that something? Is there a ability to adjust that?
Yeah, absolutely. And right now, because our main focus is really the software and, making sure that it's going autonomously, I'm less concerned about the mow deck because we can always make changes to that. But right now we've got a mow deck that can mow, down to 1.5 inch height up to 5 inches. And as we develop the mow deck, we'll be able to go lower and go higher. What's interesting is last October, we went to the GIE Expo in Louisville, Kentucky, took 2 of our mowers, and we did a demo at a major airport on the way there in Kentucky. We get there, and the grass was 8 inches tall. It was wet. It was the luscious grass I've ever seen. And I'm looking at going, oh my gosh, this is way too long. And they had just mowed it Thursday, and it was already Tuesday, and it had grown up to 8 inches. So anyhow, we got all set up for the demo, and we were mowing it down to 4-inch height. And I was actually very surprised how well it mowed. It cut the grass from 8 down to 4, which you really don't want to do because you really don't want to take more than a third of the blade off at a time. But it exceeded my expectations on wet, tall grass. So the answer is right now we can mow it down to 5 inches, as low as 1.5 inches. And as we get more feedback from our customers, we will get it lower and also get it higher. And there will probably be different attachments for special cases. Like for instance, solar fields, they may want to cut down to 8 to 12 inches. We'll be able to develop a mow deck just for those specific purposes.
Yeah, John, speaking of the conversations you're having with customers, have you had any, or have you guys seen any use cases where you'd want to collect the grass clippings?
So yeah, that's a great question. And again, there's so many things we're going to be able to do that I'm trying to keep our engineering team very focused on 3 things. Do whatever a 60-inch electric mower can do right now, do it autonomously, and do it safely. So right now we've got a mulching mower that will cut the blades of grass. It'll cut them very fine, mulch them to leave them on the surface. It's also very good environmentally because now you're not picking up the clippings, transporting them back to the yard, sending to a landfill. So that's also very good. Now I do know that in some cases you do want to collect the clippings, like at football fields or national football fields, at baseball stadiums. So, but I'm not trying to solve that problem right now. At some point, we'll be able to do something. We'll collect the grass clippings. And again, I want to keep it as labor saving as possible. So what we would probably do is be able to collect the clippings to a certain point, dump them. So you've got clumps of grass, every, 300 feet on center. And then you could have another robotic machine that would come in, put it in a dump truck or into a trailer to take it to a spot. So ultimately, we will get there to pick up the clippings, but that is, far down the road on our roadmap of products.
Gotcha. Okay, I have a question here about the battery life. How long does a full charge last on a mower?
Yeah, so right now we've got 40 kilowatt hours of batteries, which is equivalent to the Tesla vehicles. So we're doing that, and we're still in the testing mode. So that'll last at least 8 hours of mowing. Now again, it's going to be dependent on slopes. As you're going up and down slopes, that's going to take more battery power. If you're going through, like we did, the 8 inches of grass, that's going to take more battery power. If you're going through some thick grass, like St. Augustine grass, that's going to take a lot more battery power than going through a fine fescue or a ryegrass. So the answer is it depends, but we're wanting it to be at least 8 hours. So it will fill the bill for any traditional landscape company that's working 8 to 10 hours a day.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so I have a question here from an investor that is also the owner of a small landscaping company, and I'm just curious, how can folks get on a queue maybe to purchase Graze mowers in the future, and what does that sales channel look like right now?
Yeah, great question. And first of all, to that person asking the question, thank you for investing. And working with us, you'll go from a small landscape company to a large landscape company. But the answer is at grazemowing.com. You can reach out to us. We are still taking pre-orders, And it's a non-binding pre-order. So we're saying that, this is what we're going to do. And provided it does what we say it will do, you will go ahead and buy this many mowers as soon as they become available in your area. So I would say go to grazemowing.com. You can go to info@grazemowing.com. Send us an email. We'll get back in touch with you. All we ask of you is kind of look at your existing fleet now, as well as your, what your projections are in the next year or two, and just ask yourself, how many of these 60-inch mowers could you use now or in the future? So that then when we have a conversation, we can talk about, do you need 1 mower, 3 mowers, 10 mowers, 20 mowers? We've got pre-orders right now anywhere from 3, 5, 20 to 200. So we're happy to work with landscapers all over the country.
Excellent. Okay, this is another question about the safety features. In the situation where the mower would come across, like, let's say, a fallen branch that's in the mowing field, how would it? We know that it can recognize that and not run into it, but what's the procedure for? Does it go around the branch? Does it report back to the operator in the dashboard? How does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. So if it comes up to a branch, it will come up to it. It will identify it as an unknown object. It will stop, turn off the blades, turn off the, moving forward. And if that obstacle doesn't move away within a certain number of seconds that you can set, then it will send a ping back to an operator, whether they be at the office or in the truck or at another job site, saying at this location, there's an obstacle here. It will then do what it can to mow around it, to continue mowing out the area and mow around it, so that you're not, stuck, 10 minutes into a mow and you got a mower you got to go back and collect. So we want it to mow as much as possible, but obviously not go through obstacles and to mow around obstacles. But it will send a ping back so that the foreman or the operator can come back to remove that obstacle if it's a branch or any other obstacle. Again, we're designing this. I'm looking at it from a landscape maintenance company, and what I would want this machine to do if it does run into an obstacle. I don't want it to just stop mowing. I want it to continue mowing, but let me know where it didn't mow so I can come back with a smaller mower to get the job finished up and get rid of that obstacle.
Got you. Okay, so there's a lot of questions about so in terms of the competition for robotics in the space, how are you guys thinking about the competition that's out there, and what differentiates Graze from the other players in this robotic mowing space?
Yeah, great question. And, like I said, we were out at the GIE Expo last October in Louisville, Kentucky. And interesting, there were 37 lawnmower manufacturers at that expo. And they were all either stand-on mowers, ride-on mowers, but all looked pretty much the same. So there were 4 of us that had robotic mowers, at the startup stage. And of those 4, 2 of us are electric. And I think what sets us apart is our crowdfunding. We are, getting money. We've got over 6,000 investors that are following us, that are investing in us. So they're a part of what will become our success. Many of those investors are landscape maintenance companies, people in the industry that know that robotic mowers are coming along, and this is the future of landscaping. So I think what sets us apart is, 1, we're electric, as is one other, and 2, our crowdfunding. The other companies have venture capital money invested with them, which is great. We're just going a different direction. We're really going out to the people. People can spend as little as $500 to buy stock, or we've got people that have invested, a couple $100,000. But the nice thing that the thing is, and it's in the current issue of Lawn and Landscape magazine, which is kind of the Bible, one of the Bibles of the landscape industry, and it talks about the robots are coming. So everybody knows that robotic mowers are coming. A lot of them, Husqvarna has been out there for a long time. They've got great products, but it's more of the Roomba type. What we're really developing and some of the others are looking at are more for the commercial space. But it's going to be an exciting ride. And if 37 lawnmower manufacturers can be out there profitably right now, there's certainly room for several of us autonomous robot companies. And we just look to stay at the tip of the spear.
Gotcha. John, there's several questions about our go-to-market strategy, selling directly, leasing, and then the SaaS model. Can you explain a little bit more about how you see the go-to-market for Graze, and will you be both selling directly and leasing, and will people have the opportunity to purchase the mower outright? How does that look?
Yeah, so great question. And, like I said, is right now we're doing pilots, and I see those evolving from a pilot to a paid pilot, where we can demonstrate to a golf course or a city or a landscape maintenance company that, hey, if for every dollar you're spending on landscape mowing, we can do it for 80 cents. So you're going to get an automatic savings. And so initially, again, we're going to be getting paid at lawns that we're mowing close to Los Angeles, close to engineers, as we're still in the development stage. We're also looking at, you mentioned a leasing model. It may be, more of a usage model where we're charging not per acre mowed, but per, the energy used, the battery power used. Because like I said, you could use more battery power on hills and thick grass than a football field. So right now we're looking at all options. We also know, this year going into next year, that we're going to have less mowers than the demand. We've got a huge demand. We've got limited number of mowers because of, we're also dealing with the supply chain issues. That's pushing us back several months. But I guess the answer is go to market. We're going pilots to paid pilots to a possible leasing model. But ultimately, as the market matures, we will probably be going to selling the mowers outright once we're convinced and secure that the safety is there, the autonomy is there, that when we're shipping mowers back to New York, that we've got a support system in place for maintenance, for engineering, and that there's no issues with it. So we will be doing a rollout over the next several years, but we're yet to see what's going to work best for the customer, whether they would rather buy it and depreciate it on their books or have something that they're utilizing and paying for as they're using it. Again, if you're in New York, you don't need it during the snowy season like right now. So we may then be able to redeploy mowers from the East Coast down to Florida or Texas. So it's all things that we're working on now. We're looking at to be strategic on how we're going to roll it out.
Okay, I'm going to do one more question here before we wrap things up. One, I just want to say thanks, John. Really appreciate all the information that you shared today, and thanks to everyone who's submitted some questions. Again, we'll reply via email to the ones that we weren't able to get to today. But the last question I had was sort of about how you see the marketplace. Graze's initial customers have been municipalities, and now we're going full tilt into the golf course space. Is there a particular segment of the commercial landscaping market where you think Graze will try to focus, or how do you see in terms of the different possible use cases for Graze mowers? Is there an area of the market that makes the most sense for Graze initially, and how does that change over time?
Yeah, I think initially where it applies to landscape maintenance companies are those companies that are maintaining large lawns. So there are a lot of cities that sub out, or they privatize the landscape maintenance of their parks. There's one just down the street from our office with many acres of lawn that have to be mowed every week. There's sports fields. So the thing is, a lot of landscape companies, they've got kind of a mishmash of different types of jobs. They've got large jobs that have a lot of mowing. They've got HOAs with small mowers. So where it might make sense is even for a company to come in and just do lawn maintenance services. So they can service several landscape companies to take care of their mowing of large areas, which they can do much less expensive than a traditional, gas-powered, manually operated mower. Until you've got landscape companies that have enough of those jobs that justifies, owning, multiple mowers like this. So I think the case is, and then ultimately, as the technology gets better, as we ramp up in our scaling of contract manufacturing, we want to get to the point where anybody that's using a 60-inch mower, it'll make more sense financially to go to a Graze mower.
Excellent. John, thanks again for all the information that you shared today. I want to tell everyone that's joined us that we will be sharing a recording of this webinar in case you missed the beginning or you want to replay to get any of that information. We'll send that out to all attendees. And again, for those of you that ask questions that we weren't able to get to, we will reply via email.
Hey, thank you, Justin.
And
hey, Justin, I just want to say thank you, and thank you to everybody that's listened in.
Words to our community.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to everybody. Thank you for joining this call. Please continue to follow us to see our progress throughout this year, going into next year. And I'd love it for you to invest in start a company like this, be an early adopter. Thank you.